Brock, please, for 5 minutes.
The acquisition of this extravagant condo on Billionaires Row has garnered a lot of attention across this country, as well as with media. I'm curious as to the consultations that the four of you have had prior to today's appearance with Minister Joly.
Mr. Chair, we have followed the governance and process according to our delegation.
It's not the question, sir. It's not the question. I have limited time. I'm interested in your discussions with Minister Joly in relation to your appearance. Did it happen?
Mr. Chair, no, there was no interaction with Mr.
Did you receive any emails from Minister Joly with respect to your appearance?
Mr. Chair, no, we haven't received any emails.
Has she weighed in on the controversy surrounding the acquisition of this property?
Mr. Chair, the minister was not involved in this process.
Was she briefed by you?
Mr. Chair, we actually have briefed, as per normal process, the minister's
Was she
office.
briefed on the acquisition of this property?
Mr. Chair, she was informed, and the Chief of Staff was informed in June 2024.
I'm going to push back on some of the narrative that has been circulated among Canadians. Your department is quoted as follows: considering the high renovation costs for the current residents and value of the property, GAC has recommended a relocation to a new, smaller, more suitable and more economical apartment. In addition to representing a savings opportunity of more than $2 million, it will also reduce ongoing maintenance costs, property taxes, support future program needs, and meet representational requirements. Now, at first blush, this may give the impression to Canadians that you're actually downsizing. And when Canadians think of the term downsizing, they think of perhaps raising a family, having an empty nest, and moving from a 4 to 5 bedroom home to a small 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom condo. But that's the furthest from the truth in relation to the acquisition of this property on Billionaires Row. In fact, the old property on Park Avenue was roughly 3,800 square feet, and you downsized, wait for it, to a whopping 3,600 square feet. The actual rooms have actually increased. The old property had 12 rooms. The new property has 14 rooms. So you're not giving the Canadians the full truth here. You're not being honest with them in terms of the actual blueprint. Now, I also want to talk about the operating costs. You keep talking about these savings. We're saving Canadians upwards to $115,000 per year. I've got the listings from both of these properties from a website called Street Easy. The old monthly maintenance cost, this is the common fees, this would be the taxes, is $13,147 US per month. The new property is not a savings at all. Taxes and common charges are actually $15,213. So $2,000 US per month more for this new property that's supposed to be saving Canadians value. You're misrepresenting the facts. You're not telling the truth to Canadians. So I want you to be aware of this, and I want you to comment on it, because you talk in broad strokes about these savings. When you dig down into this, there's no savings at all. Now let's talk about the utility costs. What currently are the utility costs on Park Avenue versus utility costs on 57th Street? Is there a savings?
Mr. Chair, welcome the question to clarify the costs. I will turn to my colleague.
I didn't need that, sir. That's a waste of time. If anyone knows the answer, please, Mr. Dubois, answer the question.
I don't have the cost of the utilities at the new place. We have not occupied it yet. But I have the total amount that is forecasted to spend on the ongoing basis per month.
Okay, and is that a savings over Park Avenue, or is it the same, or is it more?
It's a saving.
Savings.
Yes.
You'll table that for us?
We could.
You'll table the monthly utility costs for Park Avenue and the monthly utility costs for West 57th. Okay? Now, what else about the
Sorry, Mr. Brock, that is our time.
Thank you.
Mr. Baines, please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to our guests for joining us today. Has the GACA dealt with any cases similar to this case where residence or other real property was bought to replace one that was being sold?
Mr. Chair, we do have a lot of official residents around the globe. In hundreds of projects. I will turn to Robin, who might have more specific information about that.
Good question. As my colleague, Mr. Cousineau, was explaining, we basically report in the Federal Real Property Directory that we have 2,300. We're the custodian of 2,300 properties, and we do transactions on a regular basis every year. We transact for staff quarters, for official residences.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Do you look at, and your criteria to ensure that these are located in the right areas? Like, how do you determine which areas? I know that it's a lengthy analysis that you do, but typically one of the key pieces is that it should be located in areas where diplomatic relations occur, correct?
And the requirements change depending if it's residential for staff quarters, official residences for representation purposes, or chanceries that are office space. But we basically look at a set of criteria as you described there to select those locations.
And how many did you say there were? You said over 1,000?
Oh, we have 2,300 assets abroad.
In how many different countries?
If I might intervene. So we have 182 mission in 112 countries, Mr. Chair.
And with respect to this specific property, who else? I think one of the colleagues began to sort of touch on the importance of the diplomatic relations and being in an area where, considering the difficult times that we are seeing now, that security, safety is of course paramount in some of these decisions. And not only that, we are also in a time where we need to continue to grow, whether it's economically and increase our defense efforts and all of these things. So how important are those things with the decision that was being made in New York?
I welcome again the question. Indeed, all those criteria that were actually mentioned are very important as part of our process. I could turn to Mark Aylan that could speak of the value that it brings for us.
Thank you. No, the trade and investment driven by the consulate is directly linked to the economic security of Canadians. So I think people are aware of the critical minerals market right now is a very important one. So a number of investments in critical minerals can directly be traced back to events which were held at the consulate. This includes an investment of $1.5 billion in the Nemaska mine in Quebec, a lithium mine. I also mentioned that New York is the center of global financial markets. Two Japanese banks located there have invested $39 million in other Canadian nickel and lithium projects, again as a result of events that have been held in the residence. Thank you.
Can you continue to list more, please, if there's anything else that you can add?
I mean, those are some examples of some high impact investments. There have been 50 events, as has been noted in the last 2 years, a range of conferences and lunches and other events. very frequently driving the trade program, right, and as well as the public affairs program. Another important function of the consulate is networking with political representatives in the United States, with governors' offices, with New York Assembly persons.
Thanks, Mr. Allen. We're out of time.